So our second voice is the creative. And the creative is the voice that probably most people struggle to understand the most. The creative is the person in your team who has the greatest capacity to see the world which doesn't yet exist and to dream ideas of what could be that no one else has even thought of. So the creative are the out-of-the-box thinkers. They're the people who are able to reframe a problem or a question in a way that no one else would even look at or see. Brilliant conceptual architects. So creatives can often see how the world could be different or how complex client problems can be solved and can draw blueprints almost that are truly unique. They're not always the best, by the way, at the detailed finishing through on those things, but the creative voice sees the future first, sees the opportunities first, and is able to see things that almost no one else does. There are moments often in team meetings where the creative will speak and everyone wonders whether they've been in the same meeting. But you'll often find there is genius in the creative voice. And in most teams and organizations, the creative voice gets crushed. It doesn't get to bring its best. They probably, of all the voices, have the potential to change, game change, the performance and the direction of your team or organization. Brilliant early warning radar systems. So every creative I know is almost stood on tiptoes, looking out always into the future, what's coming. What's the new trends in ideas, in thinking, in technology? What is it that I can kind of see on the horizon? And the advantage for a team is this, is that the creative sees commercial opportunity long before everyone else does. They see often the threat that is coming from competitors or disruptive technologies. So that early warning radar system for your team or organization is incredibly valuable. I'll often say to my creatives, go, what do I need to be worrying about 3 years from now? What's the opportunity that we're going to miss if we don't actually do some planning now? They love that sort of thing because their brain is always thinking that way. And the other thing is they're also bringing an early warning system based on values and integrity, because the creative voice is always the one who sees first the disconnect between what we say we're going to deliver for our employees and even for our clients, and when there's a disconnect. So I often think that most creatives are like this kind of line, straight, integrity. They kind of know when we start to get a little bit off track, almost before everyone else. I don't know whether you remember in the old days of coal mining, they used to send a little canary bird into the coal mine to see whether the carbon monoxide levels were okay for human beings. And if the canary flapped back out, they were like, right, okay, and you go. If the canary died, then you wait a bit longer. So apologies if you have to be a lover of birds, but it's my analogy and they used to do it. Why do I say it? Because creatives are a bit like the canary as well. The canary will go into a new department, a new environment, and they'll pick up an early warning sense of something's not quite right, or something's wrong, or a person is not being as genuine as people think they actually are. It's always the creative who picks that up first. So you think of that as a gift for any team or organizational leader, that early warning radar system for opportunity, but also for danger, but also when we're in danger of not delivering for clients what we promised we would, or when we're violating some of those core values about what we say it means to work in our organization. Never satisfied with status quo. Creatives have this incredible internal perfectionism. What they see in here is so exciting and is so perfect, they're always driving us towards what isn't yet there. They're always saying, guys, what about this? How can we get there? Let's not settle for where we are when it could be so much better. So that's an incredible gift, again, the creative brings, of always saying, don't settle for where we are, guys. We might be doing really well, but there is always a new frontier. There's always a new opportunity. There is always something new to explore, which we could be the first to pioneer and develop. The vision is compelling. The word can't is not in their vocabulary. So for a creative, once they see a vision of what could be, no one is going to stop them going after it. It's that compelling sense, almost an internal urge to go, this is what I see could be, and this is the vision that I'm prepared to give my time, my talent, my treasure to make it happen. But they often struggle with the frustration that people never seem to fully understand what it is they're going to say. Those who have creative as a first voice will all know moments in team life where you share something and everyone looks at you slightly strangely and goes, I have no idea what you just said, but I'm sure it was helpful. Thank you for that. Then 3 months later, somebody else comes along like Chris and goes, hey, I think we should do this. And everyone goes like, that's an awesome idea. And you know, the creative going, hang on, I said that 3 months ago. And everyone's like going, well, you might think you did, but I don't think that's anything like what anyone really heard. Every creative wrestles with that frustration. And as you'll see later, creatives need the team to help get the best out of them. I always say whatever a creative says first is very rarely what they mean. If you judge creatives on the first thing they say out loud in a team meeting, you'll think they're slightly strange or off on a different planet. But if you go, creatives only speak when they've got something to say. It's not the same for every voice, by the way. If you pull on it, ask a few clarifying questions, even when you're not sure, by about the third or fourth, out of nowhere comes this nugget of gold. And you go like, that is genius. Why didn't you say that before? And they go, I thought I did. Often a very strong social conscience and desire for personal and organizational integrity. It's another really important thing the creative brings in the conversation. Are we actually being good news to the people who work in our organization? What about the people on the margins, maybe those who are not paid as much as the C-suite? What does it feel like to work for us there? What are we doing in our local community? How are we being more than just a unit of profitable production? Are we being experienced as good news? Are we making a difference? Are we having some degree of social corporate responsibility? And then lastly, just a little challenge for the creatives. Because they're such internal perfectionists, they live almost with a constant sense of disappointment. Because what they saw in here that was so unbelievably incredible and wonderful and perfect never quite translates exactly into the external world, where it has to deal with people like you and I that mess up their perfect world and vision. So you'll often find immature creatives, particularly their leading teams, it's often hard to work for because everyone else is about to celebrate the incredible achievement we think we've done by hitting our numbers, whatever it is, and the immature creative often says, hang on, well, what about the 10% that hasn't been achieved? And everyone else is like, oh. The energy goes out of the room because the reality is it's never going to be 100%, but the creative is always, if they're not careful, never satisfied because it's never quite as perfect as it was in here. So there is my attempt to describe the creative voice for you.